Decorating on polyester already comes with its challenges. But when you pair that with trying to match decoration to that sleek raised silicone logo of Adidas, some people think it's impossible to do. So on this episode of Decoration Mess, we're going to show you it's much easier than you thought. Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of Decoration Mess. I'm Stephen Bear at S&S Activewear, and I am joined by the decoration myth buster himself, Josh Ellsworth at STAHLS. Super excited to jump in today. We have a great brand that we're going to be focusing on, and that is our exclusive premium brand, Adidas, also known as Adidas. And so being exclusive, we carry a huge style assortment, and we wanted to kind of look at the entire line. And one thing kind of pops out, and this is where the question starts, is A, it's 100% poly, recycled polyester now. And how do I approach heat transfer? Because poly, I mean, it's going to scorch. And then the second myth that we want to really tackle is in all the new styles, it has a raised Adidas performance logo. It's a silicone logo. And most people say that can only be done overseas. And I think Josh is going to surprise us today with both these myths that are on the table, because we're going to get to decorating. So excited to turn it over to Josh. How are you today?
I'm great. Appreciate you having me back on for episode 2. That means episode 1 went well, and we're going to keep this thing going. And I love this topic because I'll tell you what, decorating performance polyester is more than a trend. It's a mainstay. There's a ton of potential for decorators, but regardless of the decoration process, there are a ton of challenges. And so we couple that, as you stated, with matching the brand insignia. Why? Because when we decorate a high-end item like the garments we're going to decorate today, you just want to make sure the decoration doesn't cheapen it up, that it matches the style of the garment, and that you create a premium brand piece. So we're going to walk through a lot of different choices, because actually there's more than one way to do it. You do have choices when it comes to decoration, and that's exciting here. And then we're going to talk about the right way to do it, because certainly there is testing and evaluation involved, and you can damage these garments. And that's, we don't want you to quit. We want you to understand the right way to do it, and that you can conquer these fabrics regardless of the color, the fabric content, the look. And so we're going to do that today. So we're going to start with the basics, right, of the line. So can you talk a little bit about
Absolutely.
this piece?
So what we sent out is the A230. This is our basic entry-level sport shirt into the Adidas line. And what's unique about this is not only it's moisture wicking and it's UPF 50 plus, but it's a 3.8 ounce. And so this is, as we were kind of introducing what we're doing today, this right away sends like a red flag of like, oof. I mean, love the thinness of it. It drapes. It's just so nice. But how do I decorate this?
Yeah, absolutely. And so what I'd like, and we'll work our way up to matching the brand insignia. I want to focus first on the basics of decoration as we kind of build the content and your knowledge as you're watching this. So let me make my view a little bit larger so we can focus in on the equipment here.
Nice.
Not surprisingly, I have my favorite heat press, which is the 360 IQ. And the reason why it's my favorite is because it heats from both top and bottom. And this bottom heat not only solves issues for hats, like you may have watched in the last episode. If you haven't watched that, go look at that one.
Yeah.
But it's going to solve issues for performance polyester. So I love this. It's a small footprint. I can show you real up and close, but know that if you want to do larger logos on some products that you're having scorching issues with, you can always buy attachments for your flat press to get larger design sizes. But we kept our branding small today so we can focus in on this press. So heats from the top, heats from the bottom. We're approaching this performance polyester, and the first thing we want to do actually before we load it on is lay out our logo, because once you get your garment onto a small platen, whether it's on this hat press or another heat press, positioning is tough, and you don't want to ruin the garment because you positioned the logo wrong. So first things first, I like to lay this out to the side. We just started with a basic logo. I just did a Skyline creative logo that you can see here, which would be a typical brand or company that we would want to decorate for. And I'm going to remove the backing from it. This is a heat transfer, so you can order this ready to apply like you see it here, or you can purchase this by the roll, cut and weed it if you have a vinyl cutter or a laser cutter or something of that nature. And so a couple things. I'll position this out, which I'm experienced at that, but about 6 to 7 inches down from pinching the top shoulder. The polo should be how far down you take the design. And of course, you want to center it off of that pinching top shoulder, which means you're not going to be too far underneath the arm. You're going to have a correct left chest placement. Once you position that, it has a sticky backing for this particular heat transfer type, which I'll talk about more in a second. And so it'll hold in place. And so what that allows me to do is have it in place, kind of unbutton it here. And then I'm going to get it to a single layer, which is really critical, okay? And I am going to slide it on top of my hat press without changing the logo location, okay? And so instantly, that starts to heat from underneath, okay? So it's reaching the adhesive of that logo right away. And so that's the number one thing, is we have this bottom heat for this style of heat transfer, and we'll use it for all the styles today, at 320 degrees. Okay, that seems to be the magic recipe for heating underneath the garment. Of course, it'll depend on the weight of the fabric, but we're dealing with fairly lightweight fabrics across the board today. So we have no problem with that heat getting through the fabric and getting to the adhesive in a way that's going to create a durable result.
Nice.
Now, yeah, so subsequently, I have the top heat on, but the top heat is down to 200 degrees only. And I'm actually going to even damper that down further by using a super thick pad on top of it. So this is like a silicone-like material on its own. It's squishy material that just lays over top. And really what I'm doing is I may be scorching the garment, but I'm scorching the inside where nobody's going to see. And so that solves a lot of the issues that we have here. So I cover it with the pad. I have the recipe where I'm heating from the inside. I have my program 45 seconds. And then all I do is lock the heat press down. Okay. And I got 45 seconds to talk. So I figured I'd lock the heat press down and then talk a little bit more about the heat transfer type and kind of what we're trying to accomplish in today's episode. And that is matching that brand insignia. So when you, right. And we're talking about dimensional brand insignias specifically today. And so this is a dimensional heat transfer. It's a product called textured soft foam. So it has a little texture to it. There's different styles we'll talk about today, but it's called soft foam, which means it's going to be flexible on the fabric. This one is not a silicone. It's actually a polyurethane based, but it feels very soft on the garment, moves with the garment, and has that dimension that's going to match up to the brand insignia that we see in this case on, I believe it's the left sleeve. All right,
Very cool.
So that opens up. We just, delicately remove this, and we're just going to give it a couple seconds to cool down. And then all I'm going to do is grab the corner of the heat transfer sheet, and then I'm going to start to peel it away at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so that carrier comes off, and that gets discarded. The toughest thing is like showing these garments in a good way when you're holding them loosely in the air without a hanger. So let me button it up before I pull it in front of the camera.
You gotta put it all back together.
Yeah. So we'll put it all back together, and then let me try to. So you see a nice view of that.
That's
right?
Great.
And so we have great application without scorching with that recipe. We have a durable result, and let me see if I can capture it here, and we'll insert some photos for you as well. But you can kind of see the dimension.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what everybody calls about, is how do I match because it really gives you that fully custom feel, right?
Yeah, and it does. And you look at the logo on this, I'm sorry, it was on the right sleeve. And, I haven't tried to match the color, and because I wanted to point this out. Sometimes matching some of these colors is the most difficult thing. Now, I'm going to teach you how to solve that. Of course, we're going to bust that. But for a lot of decorators, they just want an easy sort of universal method. So this is like a charcoal. I don't know the Pantone of this color, but the point is white and black decoration, most likely white. we're talking universal colors here. So it's very easy to match the dimension and not necessarily worry about matching the color by going with something like a white or a black decoration choice.
Yeah, and I mean, using that 360 IQ, I mean, you have that touch screen, you're getting your temperature. So when we go back to the original worry or the myth out there is, I don't want to touch poly, you're in control with a STAHLS machine because you can set it exact. So
Yeah.
that's fantastic because
Yeah,
it just builds confidence, right?
yeah, and I don't want to give you the idea that there wasn't trial and error here, because trust me, I've
Yeah.
scorched, hundreds of shirts and probably 15 locations on each shirt dialing in these settings. But once you get them, you pretty much have that secret sauce or that recipe that's going to be tough. Like if you're watching this, you have an advantage over every other decorator that you can accomplish this look, and a lot of people are intimidated by these fabrics. Okay.
Nice.
All right, so we're going to step it up though. We don't like to stop with basic, right? So
Yeah.
let's talk about this piece.
I like it. I like it. So we're moving into the A324, and this we added this. We've had it in the line for the last few years, and this has been a great athleisure piece. You just showed the three stripes on the right chest. It's a gradient feel, so it really gives you that premium feel. Matter of fact, I'm wearing it here.
Nice.
So we have the aqua color and the white stripes, really cool. And then again, the raised performance logo. It's a step up. I mean, we're looking at 11 colors in this. The A230 had 12 colors. Both these polos are unique in the sense that we brought them in to match a lot of corporate colors out there, as well as team. So team and corporate logoing and colors coincide. And so that's why we chose these polos to, put out there. So
Good. And my interpretation when I got this piece, I said, okay, well, we're taking a little step up. So I firmly believe in like a good, better, best sales philosophy. This would certainly sit on the better
sure.
or the best category when we're positioning these. And so therefore our decoration should as well. And that's one of the big benefits with heat transfer. We're going to take the exact same logo just to illustrate the point, but I'm going to show you how you can upgrade the piece through unique logo placement. And in multiple logo placements. So we'll take this same skyline creative, but use your creativity, right? When I look at this piece, I'm like, yeah, I could put it on the left chest, but that would be kind of boring for me. I want somebody that buys this piece wants it to stand out. So I'm going to actually place it and tie that textured soft foam that we're doing into this sort of texture, this dot pattern of the three stripes, and place it right underneath of it. Just
Great.
It helps with brand recognition. So again, I'm going to lay it out. Although the stripes do help me with placement when I'm on the press, I still believe the best philosophy is to lay this out off the press. If you're an experienced heat printer, as we like to call ourselves, that use heat applied decoration, you know that typically you have to preheat a garment. And so you may be saying to yourself, well, how is Josh getting away with not preheating these garments? Well, two things. One is when you heat from underneath, you don't need to preheat. And two is when we're working with synthetic fabrics like these polys, they don't hold moisture the same way a cotton would. And so we really put that recommendation for preheating out there. When there's a lot of humidity, there's a lot of moisture primarily in cotton garments. So we can skip the preheat when we're working with these synthetic fabrics. So we got it laid out. I got a really cool placement. I'm going to slide it over. I'm not really worried about having the stripes underneath the heat with it doing anything there. However, I am worried, it's tough to see, but this little bottom of the collar is up on the pressure area. And so you really want to get rid of any extra dimension or seams or anything you can off of the print area, because there is a risk that might scorch up a bit. So I'm just going to slide the garment and rotate that off to the side so it's not going to get the pressure. I know my placement is correct, so I'm not worried about it being there. I'm just making sure there's no wrinkles here, because when I lock it down, I don't want to kind of crease the garment to damage it. So I'll make sure it's nice and flat. Cover it with that cover pad you see there. Just cover it right up and make sure it's nice and smooth. And then, yeah, we let the magic happen like usual.
That is great. So all these pads and everything that you've done in our shows, those are all available through STAHLS?
Yeah, they're available through STAHLS. If you don't have them and you want to try them with your existing heat press, when you buy this machine, you actually get the pads with it, and then you can just order replacements. So really slick. And so we have the Skyline creative text. I also cut like just a little brand insignia from this textured soft foam. And so we can place that somewhere else. And I like to be kind of like tell you what not to do before we get into this. So before the show, as I was practicing, because I did practice this time because I wanted to make sure I had it locked in, I tried to do a placement on the collar. What happened? There's 2 layers of fabric on the collar. Okay.
Gotcha.
So not that I couldn't get it to work. It's just going to require more heat and more time to get it to work, since I'm having to have the heat travel through 2 layers of fabric. So I just want to tell you, know your garments as you're thinking about your placements and how you're going to merchandise, because you may cause yourself a lot more work if you go to like a 2-layer thick part of the garment. So just be considerate of that. There's plenty of real estate on this garment to get a cool look without having to mess with that location in particular. So we got this part done.
No, that's a great, wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a great point too. I mean, you're dealing with premium products, right? Which equals premium margin, but prep time is everything. I mean, it goes into the whole cycle, selling it, everything. You have to have that prep. I like it.
Yeah, and I like to think of it as, creating uncontested market space. Like, a lot of people are going to quit when they have failure there, or they're not going to spend the time and the energy to order these in, evaluate them, and kind of lock in the way they're going to approach the market and their sales and marketing strategy with them. If you do that work, you're going to put yourself with much fewer competitors out there to be able to win business, because a lot of people aren't willing to go to those lengths in their planning. So with this, I'm actually, instead of doing I don't want to call it a boring left chest because it is the most popular placement, but I'm going to kind of raise that brand insignia a little bit up to more of the top seam on the shoulder. So let's go ahead and I can see that one pretty easy with the seam. So let's just kind of load that on. I'm going to have to unbutton my collar here.
It's become a very popular location for decoration with all the virtual meetings going on.
Yeah, it's kind of
that area.
Well, even look at your camera angle right now. We would see that brand right now, right? But
exactly.
All right. And so I'm going to just drape that back seam right off of the edge. You see how that's draped right off of the edge? And then we'll take our little brand insignia here. We will position it. Use the same cover pad. And once you know the recipe, it's a piece of cake. It's more just determining your placement, figuring about your loading technique, and then understanding the choices of materials to create these dimensional results. And so that's where we're going to move next. We've talked about the very basics on how to get started. We've talked about moving to more of an upgraded piece with upgraded placement. And now we're really going to dive into different finishes outside of just this single color soft foam. But we'll do that in about 15 seconds.
That's very cool. Yeah. No, I mean, this is exciting. And thank you again for the time, because I'm always like a kid in a candy shop over here going, ooh, yeah, what's going on? Yeah. So it's just great.
Yeah, I'll tell you, our grand finale today is something else. You'll want to keep watching to the end of the video.
I like the teaser.
Yeah, it's a teaser. I mean, it's a good one. It's a good one. I worked hard on it, and I think you guys are going to love it. It's pretty in depth, and I think you can command a lot of margin on it once we get there. But you have to stick with us. So here's the cool top shoulder placement on that one.
Cool.
Yeah, and you're not seeing any scorching. And when I tested these pieces, I scorched them at first. I was like, I started with 280 on top and 320 on bottom, because that's what we do on the headwear. And I started running them through, and they were scorching. And so just spent some time to dial it in, increased my time, lowered my temperature, used a thicker pad instead of a thinner pad, and we were able to lock it in.
Very cool.
All right, so let's go ahead and fold this piece up and move to our next one. So the next one is this. What do you want to do? You want to start with the quarter zip or the hat? I know we're going to do a set here.
Yeah, no, let's do the quarter zip. I mean, we'll stick with apparel right now, and then jump into the headwear. So this is the A401, and this 6.1 ounce quarter zip. This comes in 5 different colors, all solid. This is a very clean piece. We list it as unisex because the sizing's there, but it's hugely popular because this now takes you into an athleisure option, but also into uniforming. A lot of people love it because it's all solid color. There's heathered style in there as well. So popular piece.
Yeah, I would wear this piece all day. I would throw it over any one of these polos and kind of upgrade the sail. Perfect opportunity. And this one has, it's more of a tone on tone look. So it has that kind of charcoal, I would say, anthracite maybe brand logo on top of this. And I started with our black material. And I matched it up, and you know what? Our black material in the soft foam was just a little bit darker than that logo. I think this is more of a charcoal and not a black. And so it really took me into another direction where we start to talk about printable foam. Okay. So this is a multicolor logo. So it's possible. I just did a really simple Coach word mark. We're going to do kind of like a beer league inspired set here. But the, you can see this is 3 layers. It is dimensional. It's kind of tough to see, but you can kind of see the thickness there. It is dimensional. And so we can do full color logos, or we can print I would say about 82% to 88% of the Pantone book, because this is printed on a solvent or eco-solvent printer. So if you own one of those printers, you can buy this by the roll and print your own logos. If you don't, you can upload your logo and order the heat transfer ready to apply. So let's go ahead and press that. So again, we're going to do layout. I always forget this part because I'm so used to loading the garment first, but I'm going to do layout off of the press.
Just so many solutions. I love it. Yeah,
and then I'm going to unzip. It's always the easiest way. And then the least number of steps to get my shirt up on there is the best, so I'm not finagling it around too much. If that lifts, that's not a big deal. It's still holding into position good enough to get me into place until I have time to lay my pad on top. And then we lock it down. And so the reason I wanted to show this for a couple of reasons. One was to bring forward the idea, and sorry, I get you up close here, bring forward the idea of multicolor logos, because people want full color logos. A lot of people have 3, 4, 5, 6 color logos. But the other reason was the color matching element, with just knowing, even if it's a single color logo, you can order it in this process and match pretty much any brand insignia. You might just have to do a little bit of discovery to find the exact color match.
That's great.
And it's black, right? Everybody's scared to death of black, right?
Number one selling color. Absolutely.
Number one seller, but the number one problem for scorching. And so I wanted to show you that this solves that problem as well.
That's very cool. Yeah, and having adhesive on all these, I mean, that's another confidence builder. Because, I think that is a question we get frequently is, after these shows is, how do we line that up correctly, right? And having the adhesive, I mean, watching this, of course, you're sitting there going, that's a save.
Yeah, being able to line up off press is a time saver too. And it also helps to eliminate downtime, because you can do all of your layout and stage your garments before they get to the press. So that way you're keeping your machine working. So this is, pretty neat. A couple things I might do different about this is when you get I'll say there's not a good word for it, a blob design maybe, like it's a large coverage area of the design. You just have to watch on these thin fabrics. Like in hindsight, I wish I would have cut out the white and weeded it away to have a little bit more garment show through, because it kind of wants to pull on the garment a bit when you get a big area coverage like that. So that's all you're seeing on that. So just be considerate of how you design. I would probably do this one a little different if I had the time. But nonetheless, possible. Yes. All right. And then we wanted to match a hat with that. And this hat, I think you've sent me a style like this a while ago.
Yes.
But, you think, where do I decorate that? So this is a good seller for you guys?
This is a great seller. So this is something we introduced through customer feedback, because everyone said, hey, could you bring in a hat leading with the brand? And leading with the brand in this case, of course, is having the Adidas performance logo on the front. So established companies don't mind taking the side hits, whether it's left or right, or even the arch on the back. But you're leading with the brand. And the thought there is, we're an established brand, but if I put Adidas in the forefront, a end user customer could look at that hat as an Adidas hat and wear it more often, taking that brand impression with them everywhere. So that's the win here. The other thing I'm excited to see here is, it is a four-way stretch material in the back of the hat. And so, when you look at traditional methods in decoration, heat transfer is ideal here because of the thinner material. And so that's why we wanted to send that out and have you take a look at it and bust that.
Yeah, I like this one. I would certainly wear this golfing. It's a little lighter weight. It's going to feel a little cooler when you're wearing it. And so we did this for the beer league. I think golf sponsorships or any type of event sponsorship like that would be really cool with that secondary brand logo. So this is called the 360 press for a reason. We learned that on the last episode because it can print 360 degrees around the hat. So let's go all the way to the back. Let's flip it 180. And we'll go in this location right above the snapback because that's the most challenging because there's a little kind of seam structure there. But I want to show you, we can go right over top of that. Wow. So we're going to load the hat on. The most difficult part is the right loading technique here. And again, we're going to go with a dimensional result to try to match here. And the toughest part is getting this flat, right? And so there's a lot of kind of wrinkles with the way this is structured and shaped. But you see how I'm kind of just relaxing the hat. It's warm, but it doesn't burn my fingers if I just kind of relax the hat to get the right placement. So spend a couple, 30 seconds, something like that, get it to lay flat. And then I'm going to take a logo like this that you're seeing here, and we're going to go with that black color, and we have the dimension. Okay. So let's position that right over top of that seam. Now, because I have the top heat down to 200, which is what I'm going to use on my next grand finale, usually when I'm doing hats, I like the top heat at 280, the bottom heat at 320, but I'm already at 200. So I'm going to go ahead and try this application for the full 45 seconds. If this were on the front of the hat, like where there's structure and again, thickness to go through, you would want to go with the settings for hats that we covered in last episode, which is 280 and 320. But because I'm applying to an area of the hat where it's single layer fabric and very thin, I'm able to get away with the 200 degrees on top, still get through to the adhesive of the product. So we'll cover this up and we'll lock it down following that same recipe.
That's fantastic.
And you know what? If it doesn't work, as you know from our previous episodes, we just stop, we gather ourselves, and we figure out what went wrong, and we do it again. You can't ruin it. Unless you peel it too fast, and tear it when it starts to lift up, you can't really ruin this. So I always take my time. You'll notice when I start to peel to make sure that everything that I thought was going to happen actually happened.
Yeah. Well, what's unique is, what I'm seeing here is, most people, when they get into Adidas, they're merchandising a story. They may start with a price point item and then build up. So the hat would be a prime example, or let's say a gym sack. And then they build into the apparel, or they do a merchandise story, a hat, a sport shirt, and a quarter zip. So with heat transfer now, like with the settings, once you do your prep work, you can really organize yourself to get through like a large volume order. Wow.
It's pretty cool. And again, we'll snap some photos and we'll pull them into the broadcast here so you can take a look. But lots of dimension here.
Very cool.
So yeah, I love that. It's just, it's understated, adds that little branding element to an already nice piece. You basically just don't want to mess it up. It could sell on its own, but of course we're in the promo industry, so we need that brand logo on there.
For sure.
Okay, and then our grand finale is and this one's going to have, I think we're going to do 3 placements on it, but let's first focus in on the blank because it's kind of awesome.
Nice. This is the A482, and this has of course a companion piece in the A483, but this is a quarter zip. This is the A483, the full zip in the ladies, and so we've got plenty of colors there, 7.2 ounce. But what's unique about this piece is it's a waffle net for one, but it has seams in it. And a lot of people love that there's 3 stripes on the front. You turn around, there's 3 stripes on the back. So you have some offsets that you can do there in decoration. And then the performance logo is on the front left hem, which is also very unique. So It's like the ultimate co-branding piece here.
Yeah, and when I see this piece, I mean, I just think of high end and I think of decoration. And so we've been working a lot with the soft foam, with the basic, the textured, the printable, right? The basic was the black we just did on the hat, that was soft foam. The textured were the first two white pieces, and the printable was the Coach design. Well, now did you know there's actually silicone heat transfers? And so we're going to move to our silicone. So not only can we match the dimension, this one tends to have a little bit of that rubbery silicone feel to it. So we're going to actually match the texture. And so there isn't a printable silicone, so don't expect that, but there is about 7 colors in silicone heat transfer. I picked the gray color that's going to match perfectly. Again, it's about a 200 micron thick product, so you get a little bit of lift off of the garment. This one, we're going to be inspired by athletics, and we're going to do a player name, a player number, and I'm actually going to do an embroidered patch as well,
nice.
just to show you how we can really upgrade this garment. Now, again, you'll want to consider the real estate if this is your machine that you have to decorate. If you need to do longer names or bigger placements, you'll want to get what's called a power platen that attaches to your regular flat 16 by 20 press. It's a heated lower platen you can add to any Hotronics machine other than one style that has a drawer. Okay. But let's, I want to play, I was playing around with like, where would I do the placements on this? And so I'm going to use those 3 stripes on the back. I really want to play into that design of the garment. Nice. And so I will go ahead and, well, let's unzip first because that's going to just help me with loading everything as we move through. I'm going to lay out the back placement. And then I'm just going to take my player name and I'm going to put it vertically down as if it's coming out of the 3 stripes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so you'll see once I kind of hold it up here, kind of see how we're going to just put it vertically coming out. That's going to look really neat. And again, it's sticky, but it's not overly sticky. So I just want to be careful, you know, as I'm moving this and just trying to do it delicately. We do carry an accessory item called thermal tape. I don't have any here in my studio, but you know, if you're going to be doing a lot of this, that thermal tape is going to be helpful, where you can actually tape it into place with a heat resistant tape. But let's just load that on there. I got it. So I'm feeling for the pressure, right? And making sure I'm getting pressure on the whole name based on the size of my lower attachment. Just cover it and press it.
Nice. I mean, I'm seeing a nice piece being developed here. I mean, because, you know, focusing on athletics, you know, you think about it, it's, you know, training, and then it's travel, and then you compete. And so the piece that I'm seeing coming together here is a nice premium piece to do all that, you know, right before you train, wear it when you travel, and then right before you compete. So
yeah, I mean, just from a business side of things, and this really ties into sales strategy. My full-time job is sales management, not printing at all. Although the printing helps me a lot with really understanding customers, but I always focus on profit per piece. And so when we're talking about selling products, like we have the choice. We can merchandise basic pieces or we can merchandise premium pieces. I believe merchandising the premium pieces is ultimately going to drive the number, right? Because you can't take gross profit margin to the bank, but you can take the profit generated for the time at the heat press to the bank, the actual profit for your time. And so let's go ahead and just cool that down for a second. And then I'm just going to grab the corner and peel it away. Show you the finished result on this part.
Oh, so, wow.
Really nice.
Wow. And then just, I love it because I mean, the 3 stripes are just going straight into that logo, and it's
cohesive, right?
It's fully custom made.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I always tell you when something goes wrong. And so I'm going to tell you here. So this location was really close to the seam. Okay. And so I actually had that seam up on the pressing area. I should have rotated a little bit more to get the seam off. But what happens is when you're close to a seam, you get sometimes a little drop off in pressure. And so you can see this edge didn't adhere right. It's right next to the seam. And so again, no issue. We can load it back on. I know we're running short on time, so I'm not going to lock it down again until after the episode, but we would load it back on. We would rotate the seam appropriately, cover it all, and just run another full application when you see that happen. That's all you need to do.
Great.
Okay. All right, let's move to our next location. And so I'm going to do a number, and I'm going to do a sleeve print. Sleeve prints are really tough to lay out in advance. So usually I like to inspect the garment and see if there's some component like a seam structure or something that's going to help me to hit the placement, because I'm going to have to actually stretch this sleeve over the lower platen to get it to load and make sure I'm at a single layer. So I'm going to do like a really top shoulder print on this. So let's get that sleeve loaded. Make sure I load it straight. And then I'll take my transfer, same one. Just make sure I don't position it upside down, right? And we're going to drop a number 4 onto here and go ahead and do that application. And while that's pressing, let me talk to you about a couple different patch options that add premium and dimension.
I like it.
So, you know, we've talked about heat transfers in foam, and foam is F-O-A-M, just to make sure you're hearing that right for me. It's called soft foam. And then we have silicone, and then flex style, which we've used in the headwear episode, but you can get dimensional flex style designs printed in any color. So you can really add, you know, dimension in single color with that, or you can add dimension in texture in multicolor, where it looks like some people merchandise this as liquid embroidery. So that could easily be added to this garment. In this particular case, I chose to go a little more traditional with the embroidered patch, but all of them can be applied with the same heat press with the same recipe. And this will be our last application today. And so I am going to go with just kind of rotate to the left chest and do a more traditional placement with the embroidered patch. Just make sure I have it positioned correctly. If you are worried about positioning, like the embroidered patch would use the thermal tape, but I also have decorators that will use like chalk and just mark the placement off of the press. That way they know exactly where to put it when they come back to the press. And one thing about the patch is it kind of curves right on the garment. And so something really important when this application finishes, I like to get that patch off of the press and flat as soon as possible while the adhesive is still warm. That way I don't have my logo that's cupped because I'm pressing it on a cap press instead of a flat press.
Great point.
Yeah, little tools of the trade, tips, tricks. See if I can find this
the tips and tricks.
Sleeve print over here. Yeah, and this silicone is really nice. It has that rubbery feel. And then, you know, not that I think somebody's going to wear this and need it to be compression. It does have some stretch to it, but the silicone actually stretches and recovers if you do have a high stretch garment that you're looking to match. Isn't that nice?
That's nice.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of flatten it in my hand here just to make sure while the adhesive's warm, it's flat and not cupping. But
that's so nice.
All right, so let's get the final piece reveal. Of course, before we deliver this to a customer, I would re-hit that other location, but I want you to see everything here. So we have our left chest logo, looks real nice. We got branding at all locations. We got the player number on the right sleeve. We have the Adidas logo down at the bottom that we matched all the gray color off of. You're kind of seeing it peek there around the sleeve.
That's so nice.
And then we have the name running out of the 3 stripes. So really just a completely custom but cohesive piece now.
I love it. That is a great grand finale. So fantastic. I love it. And, you know, all these products contain 100% recycled poly, everything decorated great. I mean, myth busted, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're happy to bust the myths, and I would encourage everybody, most importantly, don't be intimidated to try stuff. Allocate a portion of your budget and a portion of your time to trying. It's fun, and you can watch this and just execute exactly how we've shown you, but try to take what I just showed you. You probably have an idea. Extend it, right? Try to bust a myth yourself and see what you can do.
I love it. Always a pleasure. I so appreciate the time and all the information. Man, I learned something every time. So,
yeah, a little long this time, but I think we delivered max value. So appreciate you guys having me again. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Take care. Hey, thanks for joining us on this episode of Decoration Myths. For more information on any of the products that you've seen today, check out the links in the description below. And if you enjoyed any part of the video, give us a like as well. See you next time.